Madara, along with the Yonko, are the most feared and most well known within their verses, to be the pinnacle of power. So for today's video, we're going to go over just that. How could Madara stack up against the 4 emperors of the sea? The only rules to mention are that yes, chakra and haki along with devil fruits will be equalized. And we will be exclusively talking about the 4 original Yonko, being Old Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido, and Shanks. If you want more One Piece or Naruto related content, be sure to let us know. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to help us reach 10,000 subscribers. It'd be greatly appreciated. And with that out of the way, enjoy the video.
So to start the skill for the Yonko, we're going to start from weakest to strongest of each. Beginning with Old Whitebeard, obviously has the statement of being capable of destroying the world. If you were to look up any skill to measure the size of the One Piece world, you would find that the One Piece world should be around large planet in size, or even 80% the size of our sun. In my opinion, this is kind of a high ball, and to say Whitebeard could just one-shot a star-sized planet is just pretty unreliable scaling wise. I believe a good low ball could be between multi-con to around planetary and raw power. Big Mom, Kaido, and Shanks, who are more healthier, and while having advanced conquers, should scale them above an unquantifiable amount of whatever feats Whitebeard is able to pull off. The scale speed is pretty consistent in One Piece that there are multiple lightspeed feats within the series, such as an injured pre-time skip Zoro being able to dodge multiple lightspeed attacks from Kuma, and post-time skip Luffy being able to easily react and dodge lasers from the Pacifista, which are said to be derived of Kizaru's light beams. Luffy having multiple training arcs along with his gear multipliers should scale speed to a low ball of FTL+. And yet this Luffy would still have trouble reacting to Kaido even with Future Sight. Big Mom and Shanks, who have fought Kaido beforehand, should prove their speed to be on par with Kaido's. Whitebeard should also scale to this somewhat, as we've seen him intercept Kizaru even at his old age. So all the Yonkos should be FTL or FTL+ in combat and reactions. And lastly, to mention their abilities, Whitebeard has the Quake fruit, which can cause massive earthquakes and tsunamis, along with being able to bypass physical objects, giving it a form of durability negation. Big Mom has the Soul fruit, which can make any object into a living thing, and has her homies being Zeus, who can use lightning, Prometheus, who can use fire, and Napoleon just being a living sword. All 3 can combine into Misery, who we've seen beat the bricks out of Law and Kid. For Kaido, he has the Fish fruit, which can turn him into a dragon, or a hybrid dragon, which boosts his stats immensely. And has all 3 forms that advance Haki, along with Future Sight and Conqueror's Coding, which boosts his stats even more. And finally for Shanks, from what we know, he has no devil fruit, but he does have access to Future Sight, which at a bare minimum lets him see 10 seconds into the future. And also has Conquerors, which boosts his stats as well.
So let's talk about Madara's scaling. During when he was alive, he was able to tame the full 9 tails with a single hand sign, and have the power to have full control over it. As we all know, half of Kurama was said to be capable of burning the world to ash, which upscales Madara from the planetary statement. It's further evident as we see Madara have earth-shattering power with their Biju bombs. Madara would also ragdoll the 5 Kage, including the likes of the Raikage, who is said to have the power of a Biju. So by proxy, Madara upscaling from the Biju, who all have multi-con to planetary ranges, even at his weakest. Once Madara undoes his Edo Tensei and become alive again, he would then absorb the 10 tails. This is where his scaling would skyrocket. This Madara would perform a feat of creating multiple meteors. This feat would have been calculated to around small planet to large planet, give or take. And this is all prior to when Madara absorbs the God Tree. This one-eyed Juubi will then have the statement by Hagoromo that Madara is getting close to his own power. Hagoromo being someone who is able to fight the strongest version of Kaguya in base. Kaguya obviously has the power to create and erase entire time spaces and dimensions, which contain stars and moons within them. It's not to say Madara is relative to Hagoromo or Kaguya, but it's just something that should be mentioned, since he would get stronger than this after absorbing the Shinju tree, which gave him the power to damage 6 past Sage Mode Naruto with his Limbo clone, who would go to fight Kaguya later on. Again, I don't believe he scales anywhere near to a full power Kaguya, but being able to damage 6 past Sage Naruto prior to gaining his second Rinnegan and Rinnegan, which is way stronger than all his previous feats, and was already stated to be getting close to Hagoromo's power way before. This should upscale him to at least a star range, and at the very least large planet, since there are other large planetary calcs that he would blatantly scale to. Moving on to his speed, as you know, there are multiple light speed statements within the data books, which the people like the 5 Kage would easily upscale from, such as Itachi's Water Fang, Sasuke's Kirin, and B's Lariat. The 5 Kage would get destroyed by the weakest version of Madara. This would already make Edo Madara FTL+. Madara upscaling with his Juubi amp by keeping up with the strongest versions of Naruto and Sasuke. Naruto at even KCM1 already scales at faster than light. Naruto then getting an ungodly amount upscaling with his 6 pass should place Juubi at MFTL+, given how much stronger Naruto and Sasuke have gotten since those pre-release. I'll just mention the most notable ones. He possesses the Rinnegan, which gives him access to Limbo clones that are an entirely different dimension. Can access Perfect Susanoo, can summon meteors, has access to the True Seeking Orge, which can Dareneg by attacking the soul, Izanagi and Izanami, and his fire style. Madara is also also a master in hand-to-hand combat as well as close range.
So now that the scaling is compared, how would Madara deal with the Yonko? We're going to set this into 2 rounds. We're going to start with Rinnegan Edo Madara versus the Yonko, and second round with Juubi with his composite kit against the Yonko. So for the first round, we're going to start with Edo Madara versus Big Mom. Big Mom's only win con is if she can grab Madara's soul. However, the only way Big Mom could even pull this off is if her opponent is afraid of her. But I don't think you and me is going to think Madara is going to be shivering his timbers against fucking Big Mom. Even if we were to say she did grab Madara's soul, he could legit just play tug of war and bring his soul back to his body. Other than that, her homies aren't really going to do any form of damage, as obviously Madara just outstats overall. Next up, we have Whitebeard. He is obviously going to cause the most destructive damage with Madara. If Madara were to summon meteors, Whitebeard definitely has the power to just quake through the meteor. And for his Susanoo, Whitebeard could just damage the Susanoo in some capacity, and possibly hit Madara through his Susanoo. The thing is, Madara has a lot of ways to damage and overwhelm Whitebeard, like his meteors he can constantly spam, shadow clones that could all use Susanoo, and his genjutsu that Whitebeard has no counter to, and his literal infinite chakra thanks to the Edo Tensei. But since they do scale similarly in speed, Whitebeard is able to somewhat keep up with Madara and his supposed clones he could summon. And since their AP is kind of the same, he could generally do some serious damage to Madara. But over time, Whitebeard's endurance and stamina will run out, while Madara can just regen and still keep fighting on. So Madara will take this win. Next, Edo Madara will be fighting Kaido. Kind of the same case as we described for Whitebeard, but Kaido is much more durable, so he can take a lot of Madara's hits since they do scale similarly in AP. Kaido's future sight will be the biggest factor for this fight, as if he can somehow predict where Madara is going to be, he can get some damage on Madara with Thunder Bagua or Blast Breath if he manages to land them. The thing is, Madara could just still regen and continue fighting afterward. Madara will probably summon a perfect Susanoo to deal more damage, or cast a Genjutsu. Madara's Genjutsu probably isn't as good as Tsukiyomi, but Kaido doesn't have any counter to mind hacks in general, so any type of Genjutsu Madara could land, it will slow him down or put a complete stop to Kaido. This will be Madara's hardest fight so far, but if Madara could find a way to end this quickly by overwhelming Kaido with Susanoo clones and meteors while Kaido's in his Genjutsu, it could get the job done. Kaido is definitely the most well-rounded fighter of the group, but once Madara can get around Kaido's precog, which he absolutely could, then Madara should take this, probably in a high difficulty fight. Now finally for Shanks, narrative-wise he should be the strongest of the Yonko, pretty much meaning he will be doing the most damage to Madara. Shanks' main win cons could also be his future sight, which should let him see at least 10 seconds into the future, but again Madara could get around that. You could say Shanks could send a Haki wave that could possibly slow down Madara, or power null Madara's jutsus, since we are equalizing both power systems. But saying that would be extremely generous. To say Shanks would just Wi-Fi Haki an entire Susanoo away is insane, but let's say he just somehow did, and Shanks lands a divine departure right on his jaw. Worst comes to worst, Madara will stop Izanami, which will revert anything that happened to Madara, including death. Yes, it will sacrifice one of his eyes, but what's that gonna matter when Madara actually gets up close and destroys him in hand to hand? Even if Madara's jutsus were nullified by Conquerors, Shanks can't nullify Taijutsu, or Genjutsu for that matter. So yes, Shanks would be the biggest challenge here raw stats wise, but Madara still has many win cons to gain the victory. So with the first scenario concluded, we can move on to the next scenario with Juubi versus the Yonko. Now since I analyzed how Edo Madara could beat all the Yonko 1v1, to make this somewhat fair, I'll just make all the Yonko fight together against Juubi. With the speed gap here, even though 2 of the 4 Yonko have future sight, they can't really react if Madara were to do anything. But for the video, let's just say they get Juubi into a corner and Whitebeard could start damaging him with his Quake Punches. Juubi could use hundreds of meteors from the sky to force them away, or use Limbo Clones to kill one of them. Even if Shanks and Kaido could precog it, they have no way of knowing where it'll attack from, since it's in a literal different dimension. Once all Yonko are forced away, this is pretty much where it ends here. Since Juubi is just way faster, once he blitzes the Yonko, he could just kill them with the Truth-Seeking Orbs, which directly attacks the soul. Or he could use Chibaku Tensei to crush all the 4 Yonko, or maybe even use Infinite Tsukiyomi to Genjutsu all the 4 Yonko into a nice dream and then kill them afterwards. So yeah, there's not really much any of the Yonko could do here. The speed and power gap is just way too much, not to mention all the hacks and abilities Juubi has in his disposal. So all in all, Juubi takes this no difficulty.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. If you want more content just like this, also be sure to let us know down below in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.